Road to Belleville is about a road trip that starts at my home in East Highland, California, and travels northeast into the heart of the San Bernardino Mountains. The route is almost entirely on California Highway 38. The journey ends in the Holcomb Valley, which is north and above Big Bear Lake. This is where the gold rush town of Belleville thrived in the early 1860s after Bill Holcomb discovered gold there. The trip is 60 miles long, and the history along the way travels back in time, more than 200 years. There are 13 historical stops on the road to Belleville, and they are marked out on this map. I'll make a short video for each stop to showcase the people and places that pioneered the rich history of the San Bernardino Mountains and foothills. Stop 11 on the road to Belleville. This stop is about Benjamin Davis Wilson and the Bear Valley Lake. The distance between stops 10 and 11 is the shortest of any stops on the road to Belleville. 0.7 miles is all we have to travel from stop 10, the Eye of God, to get to stop 11, about Benjamin Wilson and Bear Valley Lake. This distinguished man is San Bernardino Mountain and Southern California pioneer Benjamin Davis Wilson, also known as Don Benito. Benjamin was born in Tennessee on December 1st, 1811, and at the age of 30, he was on his way to Alta California, Mexico. Benjamin joined the Roland Workman wagon train near Santa Fe, New Mexico, and after 2 months they arrived in El Monte, Alta California, in late 1841. Over the years, the Roland Workman Party has become famous for the important California pioneers that traveled in it. The city of Rowland Heights was named after wagon train leader John Rowland. In 1842, Benjamin Wilson purchased 6,750 acres of the Rancho Jurupa that covered parts of Riverside and Rubidoux, as well as much of the Jurupa Valley. Ben was the first permanent settler in the Riverside Valley. In 1844, Ben married Ramona Yorba. She was the daughter of Santa Ana landowner Bernardo Yorba. Ben and Ramona had a son named Juan Bautista Wilson. Sadly for the family, Ramona died in 1849 at the age of 21, and Juan killed himself at the age of 24 while battling alcoholism. In 1845, there was an outbreak of horses and cattle being stolen from the inland valleys. The Mexican government had given Benjamin Wilson sheriff-like authority over the Riverside area. Alta California Governor Pio Pico asked Ben Wilson to form a posse and pursue the horse thieves. Ben Wilson was beloved by those who worked for him, and in turn they affectionately called him Don Benito. Ben put together a posse of several dozen men and headed north in pursuit of the horse thieves. When they came to the foot of the San Bernardino Mountains, he split the force up and set half of them through the Cajon Pass, and he took the other half northeast up into the San Bernardino Mountains. Ben and his men came into a high plateau valley with a lake teeming with fish and grizzly bears. This area today is known as Baldwin Dry Lake. When the mountains have a heavy winter, the dry lake bowl fills with water. The bears that originally inhabited the San Bernardino Mountains were in fact grizzly bears. The bears that live there now are black bears that were imported from the High Sierras years after the last grizzly was shot in the San Bernardino Mountains. Ben sent his men out in pairs to hunt the grizzly bears, and they returned with 11 pelts. The Serrano people let the party pass through their land into the desert where they found the thieves. Upon returning from the desert, Ben's men took another 11 bear pelts and made their way back to the valley. The lake became known as Big Bear Lake until a dam was built west in the Bear Valley, which filled with water, and from then on that lake was known as Big Bear Lake, and the original became known as Baldwin Lake after Lucky Baldwin. Being a well-trusted man, Don Benito was named as Indian Affairs representative for the inland areas of Southern California by President Millard Fillmore. Benjamin Wilson was so successful that at one time or another he owned most of Riverside, El Monte, Pasadena, Bel Air, Westwood, Altadena, San Marino, Beverly Hills, and downtown Los Angeles. In September 1846, war broke out between the United States and Mexico. A small skirmish took place at the Chino Rancho between forces loyal to the U.S. and men fighting for Mexico. After Don Benito came to Alta California, he became a Mexican citizen, but when war broke out, he chose to fight with U.S. forces against Mexico. He led about 20 men at the Battle of Chino that lasted 2 days. The Mexican forces prevailed, and Don Benito and his men were taken to the Boyle Heights area as prisoners and then to Long Beach to remain until the end of the war. On February 1st, 1853, Don Benito married his second wife. Her name was Margaret Short Hereford. Margaret was born in 1823 in Virginia. Benjamin and Margaret had 4 children. Daughter Ruth is pictured here with her children. Don Benito's grandson is World War II General George S. Patton. This is a photo of the Wilson family and a drawing of one of his homes. Don Benito served as the City of Los Angeles's first city clerk and its second mayor, as well as so many other posts and offices. Don Benito served several terms in the California State Senate. Don Benito lobbied to make sure that the Southern Pacific Railroad came into Los Angeles and did not bypass it. Don Benito was a big part of early Los Angeles and Southern California history. His accomplishments are just too numerous to try and list. If you're interested in seeing a list of them, there is a website dedicated for this, BenjaminDavisWilson.com. It's truly worth a look at this website. It is just one page that lists all of his accomplishments. Don Benito led the first trip up to the top of Mount Wilson seeking wood for wine barrels. They did not find the right wood on the expedition. This elementary school in Pasadena bears our California pioneer's name, home of the Don Benito Bobcats. Here is the route of Wilson Avenue in Pasadena. There are streets named for Benjamin Wilson throughout the area. Another pioneer from the East that came west and made a lasting impact on Southern California. Benjamin Davis Wilson was born on December 1st, 1811 in Tennessee and died at his lake vineyard on March 11th, 1878. He is buried at the San Gabriel Cemetery. Southern California has never seen a pioneer that came close to the achievements of Benjamin Davis Wilson. He accomplished this in only 36 years. He arrived at the age of 30 and died at the early age of 66. When he came to California, he was actually coming to get on a ship that was going to China. Fortunately for Southern Californians, he missed the boat. The places in Southern California that have been impacted by Don Benito are almost everywhere. And the memory of this great pioneer, who was the first known American in the Big Bear Valley, will definitely be remembered on the road to Belleville.